You Orns. Greetings, fellow Watford fans. Omar here, and it's time for a brand new edition of the You Orns 10-minute take on Charlton Athletic 1, Watford nil, and the brand new season got underway for our Golden Boys today at the Valley for 2025-26. Unfortunately, the result was not what we were hoping for. Although I did predict that Watford would lose this game, I was disappointed in the performance and the manner in which we lost the game to Charlton. Charlton deserved to win the game. It was just how they won the game that will bother me and perhaps you and numerous other Watford supporters. Take heart, this is only one game, and in some ways, I would like to say that you could probably throw this one out the window. Well, you can and you can't. You can in the sense that with a new squad, with a lot of different players, it's going to take some time to see the desired results that we need to see and that we want to see and we hope to see out of this new outfit of Golden Boys. And then again, you really can't throw this out because you want to make sure that the habits and the things you see in a game like this are not repeated. And so there will be a lot of film session, I must imagine, that the new head coach, Paolo Pezzolano, will be looking at with this team to analyze the things that they did right, which were a few things that they did right, weathering the storm from Charlton the first 5 to 10 minutes, and also creating some opportunities. They did create some opportunities, just not nearly enough. Some really great diagonals from Jeremy Ngakia, a very good ball in, a low ball across the 6-yard box by Mamadou Doumbia, but Luca could not get on the end of it. Not good enough from him. But the bottom line is that while there will be some analysis and a lot of analysis on the film, this performance overall for the supporters is not one that we wish to see again anytime soon. Well, we did miss Mr. Pollock today. Our able defender who has a leadership role in that back line was out due to a hamstring injury. He'll probably be out for at least a month. He got that injury in the game against Deportivo La Coruña in the last friendly that Watford played prior to this game. And we will see what happens in the time being. But Watford's defense wasn't really that much of the problem today. Yes, they made some mistakes. Yes, Charlton were able to get in behind us on 3 or 4 or 5 occasions throughout the game. But the defense generally held steady. Kevin, I thought, was good in this game, led the line fairly well, I thought. James Abankwah did what he usually does, is fairly stout in defense. But overall, we just didn't do enough going forward on the pitch. That's really where my concerns were. Gil Selvik was by far the busier of the two goalkeepers, and Selvik had to make 3 point-blank saves earlier on in the game and made a couple in the second half as well. But when your busiest player is your goalkeeper, that does not bode well for you. And it certainly did not for the Golden Boys, as Thomas Kaminski, Selvik's opposite number, had nothing to do at all. He made just really one save or two saves in the game. The one save I remember him making was from Imran Luz's free kick that was rather tame. It went straight to Kaminski, the veteran goalkeeper, who is in goal for the Charlton Athletic team. And by the way, Kaminski, who looked clearly to have brought down one of our players in the penalty box, did not receive the ignominious honor of yielding a penalty. But then again, Jeremy Ngakia, minutes before that, brought down or collatted into one of the Charlton players, and the referee didn't blow his whistle for that either. So both sets of supporters not happy with the non-calls by the referee, but there you are. The referee did not do the honors for himself today on this first day of the brand new season for Watford. He will be forgotten as a referee by the Charlton fans, but Watford fans, some of us, will be casting a bit of a glance at him, wondering what on earth he was doing out there. He seemed to be spending more time in the gym than he did reading the official's book on how to referee a game. But the point of the matter is that this is just one game. And so while it is a defeat that's disappointing, a defeat that leaves a bad taste in your mouth as a Watford supporter, it is the first game of the season. And there's lots to learn from it. And in this sense, you really can't go on an entire season based upon one game. It will take at least 10 games to get a certain judgment, I would say, about how our Golden Boys are doing and how they're going to be coping with what they come to grips with during the course of this championship season. So we still have a lot to learn about our lads. But certainly some of the new boys did pretty darn well. I thought not Mark Bowler was okay in that back line. And I also liked, and he made a key clearance in the game, did Mark Bowler. I also liked what, I can't even say his name now. I also liked what Hector did, Hector Cipriano, in that defensive midfield role. I thought he was easy on the ball, made some good passes for the most part, and fit in really well. I also liked what happened as well with the other new lads. I thought that Max Lane, who came in, or Max Lane, I should say, who came in late in the game as a substitute in that central defense, did a good job for what everything, or when you consider everything. And so I didn't have any problem with the new lads, except for Luca. Just a small problem with him in the sense that he just did not attack the spaces as well as he could have. Now, look, when you are a striker, you have to be a predator. You have to be a hunter. And Luca talked about how his game suited the championship. We did not see that at all in this game, how his game suits the championship at all. He looked very isolated, looked a bit lost out there, as some strikers can, but he did not, I think, get aggressive enough to attack the spaces. And especially with the head coach likes to play very expansive football. You could see it pretty early on. He likes to change up the play on left and right flanks. He loves to do diagonals across the pitch, stretch the play out, widen the pitch, give a lot of width to Watford. There was a lot of space that Watford fashioned in the game in many respects. Charlton left real big gaps in places, and I wonder if that was because of Pezzolano's strategy or if it was a bit because Charlton just were trying to get adjusted to the new division and Watford's playing. It maybe it was a bit of both, but I really like how the head coach for us brings a lot more width to the game. Nothing is really stuck in the middle or isolated to one channel or another. He spreads the ball all over the pitch. And that was something I really enjoyed. Now, when you know that your manager wants that from you and you know that's his style of play, you as a striker need to adjust to that accordingly. And you have to be expansive in your runs. You have to be prepared to run into space, to fashion space, to create space, and to anticipate the ball that comes into you. And I don't think Luca did any of that with real aplomb at all in game number one in the English Football Championship. But I do think he will learn. There's a lot of upside, and I do think that he will be better. I do think the team as a whole will be better after this game. So there is, I guess, a silver lining in the sense that they can go up from here because they just weren't as intense as Charlton were. And as I said, as a striker, you've got to be a hunter. You have to be a hunter out there. And when you hunt, you're going in all kinds of places. When you're hunting, you have to go everywhere. You have to be strategic, but you have to go everywhere. You have to create opportunities for yourself to find something when you're hunting, right? So the same thing with a striker. A striker is a hunter, and that striker has to be predatory, has to get into space. And the prey is the space that you're running into. The prey, of course, is the goal that you're trying to score into. And I think Luca needed to be more dynamic and more aggressive in finding those spaces on the pitch. And that would have been really commensurate with the balls that Ngaki was crossing with some really great diagonals from him. And I love how Ngaki seems to have really embraced this manager's play early on. I think it's really tailored to a lot of Ngaki's strengths because he likes to take a lot of long range shots. He took one or two of them today. And I thought Dumbia, while it didn't do a whole lot, there were moments that he had, was, as I said earlier, perhaps some really good balls across the 6 yard box that Luca just had to get on the end of. And you've got to be aggressive and you've got to be willing to run and even make a mistake and not connect with the ball, but you've got to run for it. You've got to make those spaces count. And that's what makes you more potent, makes you a threat. Dumbia, if Dumbia were in those spaces instead of being on the left as he was in this game, I do think that he could have poached a goal here. Dumbia is the kind of player who is very aggressive in running into spaces. He makes nuisances out of defenses. He is a nuisance to defenses, I should say. And I think that he might have been able to pounce on one and score himself. But that wasn't the way the game was fashioned, and that wasn't the way that Watford did it. And just too few chances in this game. The more veteran players on the field did not do a lot either. I did not think that Imran Loser was much of a contributor today. I didn't think he had a lot of the aggression that he showed last season, at least. And Musa Sissoko was really not on the pitch at all, was a real non-entity and a non-factor for the most part. Quadwo Bar, of course, one of the younger players who's returned from injury and returned 1 week earlier than anyone else to the training camp, I thought was good, but not good enough. He was good in the first half. He'd gone in behind that Charlton defense and caused a few problems. But again, nobody on the end of some of the balls that he brought across the box. And he drove really well down that right side. But he only did that 3 or 4 times, and after that, he was invisible too. He had a slip off the artificial surface that was off the pitch, and he was down for a few moments, and that was a real concern. But he got up, bounced back, and played on. A Banquer took some kind of knock, but he bounced back and played on. Both of them were subbed. I wouldn't think that there's anything serious about that, but we'll see, of course, if there is any development. But they looked like they were okay. The team, again, they played a game, in my estimation, that was still very much a preseason game. The pace looked very much like a preseason game for Watford. I did not see anything in this first game of the brand new Sky Bet Championship season for us that was any different from the friendly that I saw against Leyton Orient. I really didn't see a whole heck of a lot of difference. Now, I didn't see the game against Deportivo La Coruña, which Watford won 1-0. But the last friendly I did watch, which was the game at Leyton Orient, where we had a 1-1 draw, and this game, which was, there's about 2 weeks between those games, 2 or 3 weeks between those games, 2 weeks between those games, really very little difference between the game against Leyton Orient that finished 1-1 in the friendly and this game today against Charlton Athletic. And it's so interesting because Charlton Athletic and Leyton Orient played each other in the playoff final, in the League One playoff final, just back in May at Wembley, of course, which Charlton obviously won late on. But Watford are definitely going to have to grow in leaps and bounds. Yes, this is the first game of the season. A lot to take from it. Those are my top lines. And secondly, or thirdly, in my top lines for this particular 10-minute take, Watford are going to have to fashion more opportunities in the final third and bring a lot more aggressiveness to the table. Tom Ince came in as a sub, and there were other substitutes who came in like Jack Greaves. They didn't really bring an impact to this game. Kayembe came in. I thought Kayembe was okay, but again, not really the impact in this particular game. I had no complaints at all with Pesolano making substitutions. I had no problem with that. It's just that the substitutes who came on really didn't impact the game in the way that you perhaps would have hoped. Well, look, it's game one. It is disappointing. We as fans can throw this one down the toilet, I think, at some point, but the players will have to take this on board, learn from it, grow from it, and I absolutely believe they will. Of course, there is a game on Tuesday night in the Carabao Cup, the first of this season with any competitive flair that really counts for something at Vicarage Road. And then, of course, next Saturday, it's the visit of Queen's Park Rangers coming into the Vic for this first home opener of our brand new season in the Championship, and the second time in the last 3 seasons that QPR have been that team on our home opener in the Championship. So we'll see how it goes the remainder of these next few days with those two games at the Vic. This is all from this edition of the You ORNS 10-minute take. And I have to say, again, the final score, and I did predict this, sadly, I predicted this on Friday. Charlton Athletic 1, Watford 0. This has been the You ORNS 10-minute take.